Hello, Connecticut Cold members. My name is Yensen Sierra Lambert. Welcome to video number 3 of Windows, Mirrors, and Sliding Doors in the Language Classroom. So over the last couple of videos, we've been talking about how to make our lessons, our curriculum more diverse, more inclusive, more equitable, and how to foster a sense of belonging among our students within our classrooms. So the notion of windows, mirrors, and sliding doors is originally a sort of literacy philosophy that I've adapted to the language classroom. So really quick, let me review what windows and mirrors are before we get into sliding doors. So windows are opportunities that we create in the classroom to expose our students to authentic culture. Mirrors are opportunities that we create in the classroom to allow our students to feel reflected in what they're learning, to feel reflected in the curriculum, to feel valued and seen. Now, sliding doors, which is today's topic, are opportunities that we create to open a door or a window into a culture and allow the students to step inside that culture and experience it for themselves. So today I'm going to show you 2 activities that I've done in my classrooms in levels 1 and 2, sometimes 3, to create those opportunities. So here you have a project that I'd like to do as part of a self-portrait unit that I did actually this year with my level 2. And in the self-portrait unit, we practice how to describe ourselves, how to identify ourselves, and we do it within under the umbrella theme of self-portrait art. So we look at self-portraits by Picasso, we look at self-portraits by Dali, by Frida Kahlo, by Botero, and that gives them an opportunity to see different artistic styles. Throughout the unit, right, they sort of start identifying what their favorite style is based on their own interest. So the culminating project is to create a self-portrait using any of those styles. I give them those options, any of those styles. In this self-portrait, they have to include things that they consider to be an essential parts of their identity, of how they identify themselves. So these 2 examples that I have here, I got from this website that you see here that I hope that you get a chance to check out. This website provides a template, a blank template that you can download, and the students can fill in with items. As you can see here, you see flowers and pets and soccer balls and food. These are things that are part of who they are. There's a speaking component that the students have to complete, of course, after they create their beautiful art. They do a recording in which they describe the painting using the functional vocabulary for that particular unit. And they have to also connect it to their self-descriptions, their identity. So a lot of vocabulary and grammar structures are included in this, right? But the most important part of this project is that they get to experience Cubism, they get to experience Surrealism, they get to experience the naive artistic style for themselves. So here's an example of what a student created sort of Cubism style self-portrait would look like, right? So you can see the bold colors and the figures. So it's interesting to me what the students end up choosing, because it says a lot about who they are. The fact that they choose Cubism or Surrealism, it's really interesting for me. The other example, here you have a self-portrait done in a sort of naive style. And in this website that I provided here, you can read more about naive style and what the main elements are. And the reason I also included naive art is because as part of this unit, we also look at paintings by Carmen Lomas Garza, who is a naive artist from Texas, and she brings that Mexican-American experience into her paintings, which is really interesting to share in the classroom. So this is one activity that I like to do for them to experience culture. Here's one of the templates that you can download from this website. So there's a variety of them, right? So my students begin with this and they fill it in as they choose based on the style, the artistic style of their preference. Here are some examples by my own students. I apologize that these are in black and white, but they were originally made in color. And as you can see here, one of my students included sushi and a soccer ball and fish and music. And these are all elements that he identified as essential parts of his identity, right? And these are things that he explained in his audio and his recording, self-description. What do I do with that audio? Well, I upload it to Google Drive, and then I create QR codes. And when I display these self-portraits in the hallways or in my classroom, I place the QR code next to the art, and as students are walking down the hallway, they can scan the QR codes with their phones and listen to these self-descriptions in the target language. Sometimes I have other classes listen to these recordings, and I turn that into an interpretive communication sort of activity. Yeah. The other activity that I'd like to share with you is called Step Inside. And what I do is that I have the students step inside a painting. And I know the painting that I have here is mostly used by Spanish teachers, but there are so many paintings in all the languages, target cultures that we teach that could also be super, super useful for this type of activity, right? It's any painting that has a lot going on, activities or paintings that capture specific cultural practices or products of that culture. So this one in particular is titled Tamalada. And here you can see a family gathered in a kitchen assembling tamales. There are a lot of people, there's a lot going on. So there's a lot you can do with verbs and vocabulary and a variety of units. I mean, it connects to clothing, food, commands, possibly, right? There's so many different things that you can use it for. But what I do with Step Inside, and I did it recently, actually, I have my students choose a person, a character, a person from this painting, and they have to assume the role of that person and engage in a dialogue with somebody else, right? So it may be grandma and one of the kids, or it may be grandma and one of the dads, and they have to imagine what type of conversation they would be having in that moment, within that context, right? Are they talking about tamales? Are they complaining about the work that they're doing? Are they finding out about each other's current events in their lives, activities, interests? There's so many different things that they could come up with. What I love about it is that it's spontaneous, and sometimes it turns out to be really funny. The last time I did this, two of my students assumed the role of la abuela, the grandmother, and the dad standing by the door. And they got into this heated discussion about the fact that the dad standing by the door was not helping at all in the kitchen. And so grandma was sort of yelling at him in the target language, of course, for not contributing, for not playing a role in the assembly line of tamales, which we know it's hard work. So there's an activity that you can do where students get to experience culture, right? Because there's so many things that they need to know before they engage in this conversation. So of course, before we do the activity, we talk about the cultural practice of preparing tamales around Christmas time, the ingredients that go in a tamal. There's also vocabulary that we review, family vocabulary. So they're experiencing culture firsthand, right? For a lot of our students who do not get a chance to travel to Spanish-speaking countries or do not come from homes where other languages are spoken and other cultural practices take place, this is all they get, right? What we expose them to in our classroom. So, as always, if you have any questions about this particular activity or the self-portrait projects, you can always email me at ylambert4@gmail.com, and I'll be more than happy to share resources, PowerPoints, or to answer any questions you may have. I know this is a really short video, so if you'd like me to elaborate, just reach out. It was a pleasure sharing this philosophy with you, and I cannot wait what you do in your classrooms to make them more diverse and inclusive. Thank you so much. Happy holidays and a happy new year.